Hi guys, how are you today? Assalamualaikum. On this occasion, I'm going to tell a story written by a famous American celebrity, Mrs. Madonna. The novel was published by many publishers, and the story itself had been translated into various languages throughout the world. The story's title is Mr. Peabody's Apples. Once upon a time, in the town of Happyville, lived a gentleman named Mr. Peabody. He was a history teacher at the local elementary school. In the summertime, he dedicated every Saturday to organize baseball games. Every time Mr. Peabody walked home, he always waves hello to everyone, and they waved back. Along the way, he always passes Mr. Funkadeli's fruit market. Here, Mr. Peabody would stop and admire Mr. Funkadeli's fresh apples. Woo! He would pick up the shiniest apple, drop it in his bag, and continue on his way. Across the street, a little boy named Tommy watched with curiosity as Mr. Peabody walked away with the apple. Mr. Peabody didn't pay anyone for the apple, Tommy said to himself. Then, Tommy rushed to tell his friends. In the following Saturday, Mr. Peabody's team played another game. Then, Mr. Peabody set off on his walk home. He waved to everyone and they waved back. Once again, he stopped outside Mr. Funkadeli's fruit market, picked up the shiniest apple, dropped it in his bag, and continued on his way. Across the street, Tommy and his friends watched Mr. Peabody. And they were amazed at what they saw. Mr. Peabody had not paid for his apple. They couldn't wait to tell all of their friends, who told their parents, who told their neighbors in the town of Happyville. The Saturday after that, Mr. Peabody was standing all alone on the baseball field. Then he saw Billy, a very loyal student who always helped him in every game, walking toward him with a sad look on his face. Tommy and his friends said they saw you take an apple from Mr. Funkadeli's fruit market twice, and they said you didn't pay for them. Oh, said Mr. Peabody. Let's go and talk to Mr. Funkadeli about it, shall we? They walked down the main street and Mr. Peabody waved to everyone. But now, some of them did not wave back and some pretended they did not even see him. They finally arrived at Mr. Funkadeli's fruit market. I was wondering if I could take my apple earlier than usual, said Mr. Peabody. Sure, why not? Replied Mr. Funkadeli. You pay for them every Saturday morning when you pick up your milk. You can take them when you like. Billy was surprised and convinced himself to look for Tommy and explain everything. When you find him, ask him to come to the baseball field and bring a fluffy feather pillow, said Mr. Peabody. A little while later, Billy found Tommy and told him what had happened with the apples. He told Tommy that Mr. Peabody wanted to speak to him right away in the baseball field. Oh dear, Mr. Peabody, said Tommy when he finally met Mr. Peabody. I should not have said what I said, but it looked like you hadn't paid for the apples. It doesn't matter what it looked like. What matters is the truth, Mr. Peabody said. Here is a pair of scissors. Now cut the pillow in half and shake the feathers out. Tommy looked confused, but did it anyway. The wind carried the thousands of feathers far and wide. "Now you must go and pick up all the feathers," said Mr. Peabody. "I don't think it's possible," Tommy replied. "It would be just as impossible to undo the damage that you have done by spreading the rumor that I am a thief," said Mr. Peabody. Tommy began to understand what Mr. Peabody was saying. He was very ashamed and very sorry. "Come up to meet you, tell you I'm sorry. You don't know how lovely you are. Nobody said it was easy. No one ever said it would be this hard. Oh, take me back to the start." Guys, do you know what the moral message of the story was? The moral message of the story was, we have no right to judge someone so quickly, especially if it's only based on what we see in one incident. Beware of the power of your words, because rumors can be the big part of bullying. It's something we don't like together, isn't it? That was all my story. I hope everyone enjoyed listening to it and learned something worthwhile. Good day, everyone. Wassalamualaikum. Bye-bye.